Well, Ryan, thank you for coming on the Red Carpet Roundtable.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. I want to get into a little bit. Can you tell us what got you into the entertainment industry?
Well, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I was raised by just my mother. She was at the time going to the Cleveland Institute of Art. And so, because of the circumstances, I would always go with her instead of, having a babysitter or someone else take care of me while she was there. So I was kind of at a really, really young age. I mean, let's say like 5. I was subjected to this world, and I imagine most art schools are this way, but there's just like it's such a hands-on kind of environment as opposed to like a traditional university or whatever. And so, and because it was also like the 90s, I think this it was just a different moment in I guess the perspective of children and the freedom. I imagine I don't have children right now, but I imagine, if I did, I might not feel so comfortable with them just like leaving the house and just walking around. You might have a bit more protection because that's just the way life is now. But then we would go to the school and she would just let me just walk around the school, like the campus. And I was very young, but I was never in harm's way. And anyway, so I was just constantly looking at this world because she was doing photography, and then there would be like the area where there was people sculpting and then painting. And although I'm not there to study, I think there had some kind of effect on me where this is just happening around me all the time. And it just became very like, I'm so accustomed to this as opposed to, I imagine if somebody's parents worked in the medical field or something, there would be, you know what I mean? Like, so that started to have this subconscious effect. And then, as I got older, I ventured away from that. I went through high school, and at the time, I was kind of on the cusp of becoming a professional BMX rider, like stuff you would see in the X Games. And there was a couple kids that were very good that I was kind of friends with. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be as good as they are because they're willing to risk a lot more stuff than I am right now, as far as getting hurt, and whatnot. And so I started to reevaluate like where I am in life and what I want to do. And then it's just like, it just kind of came up as like, I don't know, maybe in that search, this memory of this time where I was like, oh, this is really interesting space. Maybe I'll go into some kind of art. And I was going to a community college in Cleveland and I took an elective acting 101 class. And it just felt like, I don't know, just felt like, and this sounds so cliche when I say it, but it felt like as soon as I got there, I was like, oh, this is why I went to this school. This is what I've been looking for. And the interesting part is that I could identify that I was so not like the others. I hadn't read any plays. I'm not like a high school drama club kid. I was like a BMX, smoking weed, like doing that kind of lifestyle at that time. And I think even the professor, his name was Robert Ellis, great guy. He even could identify this. And so the end of that very first class, and I'm sure he probably wouldn't remember this, but he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I know you're probably not going to come back, but do yourself a favor and come back next week." And I think I already knew that I was going to, but that alone was just like this incentive. Sorry, my dog is getting active right now. But this incentive to just be like, okay, somebody else sees what I'm feeling. And so I should definitely get involved in this. And that's really how it started. And then it just like, it was like this freedom. It was like something like I already feel a way, and now I have to figure out how to, refine how I'm feeling and what already able to do like
Mm-hmm.
organically, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did some plays there. One of them in particular, I got nominated from by the school to go compete at the American College Theater Festival at Marquette University, which was at the time, I think I was a bit overwhelmed. I think I got a little, first off, I got a little cocky that I was nominated. And then when we went there, I realized, oh, there's another level to this. All these kids are that other side, been training for years, musical theater as well. And so when I'm getting into this competition, I was like, I have like two scenes prepped. These kids could go on for days. And so I was able to kind of identify the levels at that point. And that's when I kind of took a step back. I was like, okay, I need to take this much more serious than I thought I was. Um, and then school ended. And so then I bought my first camera, editing software, and got to work on writing because I was like, well, there's not really a lot of opportunities to get cast in Spider-Man when you're living in Cleveland, Ohio.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. And so that's when I started just getting together with my friends and just like I wrote
Hmm.
something, shoot it, and just making these kind of more silly,
Hmm.
like it feels like a student film, but in the sense of like I'm just exploring, I'm learning things on my own. I'm genuinely curious. I don't need at this point someone to hold my hand in this traditional like I'm the teacher, you're the student, let me guide you kind of way. I had gathered enough information where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go learn a lot more. And um and so I just kept it going from there, and that ultimately led me to New York. Now, New York was a different time because I didn't really have anyone to back me up as far as like trying to get jobs, as far as like an
Hmm.
agency. And it was such a cutthroat time. Like I was just like, month to month, like literally from like bartending, every tip dollar I earned, it was like, here you go to my rent. And I back to zero. And there was a struggle for a while. So I didn't really have that luxury of like, I can do all these things. I'm like, I just got to survive right now.
Right.
And yeah, so that was a challenging time. Um, but we made it through that, and now fast forward to arriving in Los Angeles, which was I did New York for about 5 years. And the beauty of that, although I didn't actually do much acting work at that time, I had so much life experience. And that value, I think, sometimes is underestimated with, what school or what training
Hmm.
someone's going
It's all
through.
about your journey.
Yeah. No, it so is. And you have to have gone through, just the challenges that life
You
can
said it
present.
right there.
Yeah, because that's what we connect to when we watch a
Right.
movie, when
And
we
you
see
know,
a play,
the
that's
one
what
thing I
we're
want to say
connecting
real
to.
quick
Somebody,
is, sorry,
no,
is
go ahead.
your testimony shows the journey. The testimony shows your challenges, your
Yeah,
challenges of being in the entertainment industry. You know,
right,
you said it right there when you're living in New York. You know, you couldn't have so much great time. You had to work. You had to use the money to pay the bills. You had to
yeah,
do auditions, if you were doing it and you were trying to maintain a life being in the entertainment industry. And
right.
to be honest, that's a great testimony because testimony for younger generations, the next generation who wants to be in the entertainment industry, because you just proven right there, it's thick skin, it's
Oh
hard,
yeah,
it's sacrifice, and it is true that you have to have passion for this if you want to continue being in this journey.
absolutely.
That's the one thing
Absolutely.
I what I kind of heard from you because it's you showed it right there. It's sweat, it's tears, it's hard work,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And it's like I've
it's a journey.
oh, it is a journey, but like there's another level to this that I think some people, and it's such a confusing thing because, I live now in LA. I've been here for 10 years, and I'm not naive to the luck that is necessary for this to work out. And I see people that sometimes appear to kind of just like have this thing that they can just kind of get
Hmm.
into the business, and you're like, well, where's the effort? How did they get where they are? And it's not a jealousy thing. It's more of just, isn't that interesting? Because I grew up in Ohio and some of my jobs were construction. And if you want to become the foreman on the job, who's making the most money and calling the shots, you're going to get down and lay some bricks. You're going to move some concrete. You're going to hang some drywall. That's just the way this goes. You don't just become the foreman. But
Hmm.
this job, this industry, you can. And it's a really bizarre place to be. Um, Having said that, I still think that, you will be seen at some point. And so you
Hmm.
have to show the work. You have to do the work and educate yourself and understand what you're talking about. One of my favorites is David Mamet. And he talks about in his book True and False about actors that he's seen. Now keep in mind, this guy's been directing for generations. I mean, decades, right? So the amount of actors that he's seen come across the stage and perform for him or for others is probably thousands over all this time. I mean, realistically, it probably is. And I think once he's done that, he mentions um, seeing someone read the same lines as this guy, two people, right? And this person has a backup plan. If acting doesn't work out, there's I'm gonna go into whatever the family
Hmm.
business is,
Always have
or
a backup plan.
right? And then there's this other guy over here who has no backup plan. It's like an obsession. And they're
Hmm.
reading the same material. David Mamet, says that he could hear the difference in the inflection in their voice. I know that this is an all or nothing person. I know that this person is, if this doesn't work out, it's okay because we have the law firm or the real
Right,
estate
right.
agent, whatever. And so then I read this and I start to have this kind of self-reflection. I'm interrogating how I feel. Who am I really, right? And I realized that you could pluck me out of where I am right now and drop me anywhere in the world. And all I'll want to do is this. I will find a way to do this.
Amen.
And
Amen.
so, now when I look at my journey, what I've been going through, and I mean, in 10 years in LA alone, I've probably received 900 to 1,000 rejections, messages in a bottle. I throw it in the Pacific and nothing ever comes back. Spend hours, days prepping an NCIS audition that's like 7 pages. You bleed for it, and then just
Right,
nothing,
and
nothing.
that's
Over and over and over. If time was money, right? If time was actually dollars, and I went to a financial advisor, they'd say, listen, Ryan, you really need to invest your money elsewhere because return on investment is like nothing. But it just, it takes people that have to be basically obsessed with this to really get there.
amen.
And I just, in that self reflection and self awareness, like this is it. This
I'm
is
so,
this is what I'm doing because when it works, it's not just a personal reward. It is on some level, but what I can do is make other people feel a way. And that right there, I think, is power.
you said it
Forget
right there.
capitalism and all this other stuff.
Hmm.
That is actually a positive thing in life. Because there's been plenty of days that I've been down or whatever because of this, that, and the other. And someone else in this field has uplifted me to be motivated to just do whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not like I have to go conquer the world, but just to leave that mental place to enter a new mental place. That alone right there, if you can allow someone or enable someone to do that, I just think that is such a more
You know,
valuable thing.
amazing. You said it
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, man.
100%.
And so
Um,
this space allows me to do that, and I'm really like addicted to it.
well, I appreciate you sharing your journey. I really think it's
Yeah, yeah.
powerful. Um, I want to dig into because you've done a lot last year and this year.
Mm.
Um, and first foremost, I saw the one you were in, Obsessed with the Silent Bride.
Yeah, yeah,
Congratulations on that.
yeah,
Amazing. I saw it. With the Dr. Wifey, please don't, please touch me.
yeah, yeah.
Congratulations on that. Um, Go on. The list goes on. I'm looking at it. And
Yeah, this last year has been
let's talk about um the role first of all, and we'll go on from there. With obsessed with the Silent Bride. I saw
yeah.
your role. You were fabulous. You were 100% fabulous. I could tell you were in the character.
Mm.
I gotta ask, what made you when you got this when they asked you if you want to take this role, what made you really decide I want to take this, I want to go for it?
I think I think life presents challenges in very nuanced ways. And some seem so obvious, like, oh, this is a challenge. This one was packaged different because it it was work, and
Mm-hmm.
I love to work. There's no hiding that. Um, I understand that this thing that's going on with these vertical dramas right now is this brand new kind of undefined, so young, it's like easy to judge space.
Mm-hmm.
So
And real quick, I'm sorry, what do you mean by that? Easy to judge and young
I
mind?
just think like most of the time when another person judges something, it's
Mm-hmm.
because they don't understand it. That's when
Mm.
judgment usually occurs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because this is so new, no one's really had time to understand it. So they just
Okay.
see it on the surface level, and it's very easy to judge.
Okay.
And so the challenge in that moment, because it was initially presented to me like, hey, you need to read this and you need to understand what we're trying to make before you agree,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a different thing. And I thought, okay. And I already knew that some people that I don't know who in particular, but they had been presented this and they said no. And so I just kind of read it and I saw what was going on and I saw the job of it, what I need to do as far as a performance and bring to this. But then I also thought like, what am I doing in a positive way for this space?
Mm.
Because some of the things in the space can come off a little, shallow. And I don't mean shallow in a negative way. I mean like it's just like it's like that's okay. It's very I use this metaphor all the time about these because they're delivered in like these small episodes. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? It's like if you are at a cocktail party and there's someone walking around with a tray of hors d'oeuvres and they say, pig in a blanket for you. And you say, oh, thank you. And you take a bite, but you can continue conversing and enjoying yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, we have to sit down at this table, fork, knife, and then eat and bite, bite, bite. And you know what I mean?
Right.
This is much more easy where you can like go about your day. You
Mm-hmm.
watch the whole episode in 30 seconds. You have this sense of completion. It doesn't have to be super deep. And so I understand that. But for this project, I thought, how this is like a project that's attempting to risk what's already working in that space and try to
Mm-hmm.
push it to a level that is, I don't want to just say like much more serious, but like, the performances ultimately needed to be taken with or have much more integrity in them, I guess is what I'm trying to say, as opposed to perhaps some others. So again, going back to that initial email and me agreeing to it, I thought that's the challenge right there is going into this space where there's like this established kind of performance because this is usually what it is, but this wants to be different. And in order for that to be successfully different, I have to bring the A game. I have to, step up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, keep in mind, I don't know if you know this, but like the way that these work, that job was 10 days, that whole movie, or the whole
Wow. 10
10
days.
days, and we do 12 as scheduled hours a day, but the one we did like 13 most days, and some were 15 to 15 and a half. So, this is an enormous amount of work. and then you just go home, go to sleep, come back, and it's just day after day after day
Woo.
until it's done. So we're shooting 20 some pages a day. And to like memorize and perform again and switch coverage and do that. And then the emotional level that was needed and the onset, like, because everybody wants their goal. And there's like the work, the art, the
Mm-hmm.
integrity, business,
And
all kind of colliding and like we need views.
right.
Well, we need moments to like to get there, and
Mm-hmm.
and so there was honestly like almost like a trauma bonding experience by the time we were done. But
I could tell it was a really fun set film.
yeah, no, I think that was the interesting thing is that, and I say trauma bonding because it kind of was at times where we were kind of going through this experience, and then because the subject matter was so intense at times that we would all start to feel it. It was like you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like you drop some food coloring into some water, it just starts to
It
expand
starts
out.
affecting you said it right there. It's affecting everybody on
Yeah,
set.
everybody on set. So
So
like
I'm gonna
some of
dig
this.
into that. What do you mean? Do you mean everybody was even when they say cut, you guys were still
Oh,
in that character moment? And
100%.
how did you, as yourself, get out of that character? Did you have to step outside to get some fresh air? What did
There
you
was,
do?
okay, I'll give you two moments that were very intense. Uh, Anna Stadler is the girl I work with. She's amazing. I love her. She's such a sweet girl from Atlanta. She flew in for this job. And there was a scene that we were performing, and basically, my character is fed up with her behavior. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to do
Mm-hmm.
something nice, and I make her food, and she doesn't want the food. And so out of anger and running out of options, I say, you know what, you're gonna eat this food. And now the scene calls for me to force feed her. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the powers to be in Video Village who were watching this happen weren't necessarily getting what they wanted. And so there became like this struggle of trying to do the scene in his genuine way, and then also trying to meet the standards of what was needed on the business side.
Mm.
And so what ultimately happened after scene after scene after scene and trying to get there, it started to weigh on both of us, Anna and
Interesting.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when it got really emotional, like those were real tears, especially from her, that she could not stop. Like to cut, it's still, she's a mess. And at one point, I started getting emotional because I could feel how this scene was really impacting her. So when they called cut, I jumped across the table and I hugged her and I just said, I'm so sorry over and over again because it just felt terrible. So I guess what I'm saying is like that moment was so powerful that even though we're shooting a movie, you know what I mean? It felt so real that I genuinely felt guilt that I had to hug this girl so tightly and just tell her how sorry I am that I'm doing this to her. Which, if that was really going on, that's kind of something that you might experience. And so that was a very profound moment in this project. And then another one where there was this scene where my character was asked to get emotional because she's fallen off of the roof and presumed to be dead. And so I lost my mother 8 years ago to cancer. And there's two sides of that. That's how much, I mean, obviously there's the loss, of course, but now I look at that in two different ways. One, which is the way I usually look at it, and this is a part of life. and how grateful I am that I had her for the first however many years of my life. Um, and I try to live in that gratitude. And then there's the other part of me, which is a smaller part that is incredibly heartbroken about that. So now I'm on set and I try to be as genuine as possible. And one of the things I think actors can do is go to these places that brings up these emotions and then
Mm,
you perform the material. I've worked with several people and they all have different ways, and so I'm not judging, but that's usually what I do. And so I just remember I got there and I was very, very emotional for this scene. And I remember the director came up, and this was kind of on behalf of the producer behind them. And she said, "Hey, if that was really good, but if that was a one, I need like a four." And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, this is such an interesting business, you know? Like I'm being so genuine and emotional right now, but that's not good enough." And so I was like, okay. And then I just twisted my mind a little bit into some other thoughts. And then I really let go. And then they were like, okay, but now, like you're saying, now I can't stop. So I had to go walk around for like 15 minutes in another room by myself. Because I had to calm down. I was like
mm.
isolated almost. So yeah, that project alone was such
I
a
could.
wild experience that I
Mm,
don't forget that anytime soon.
well, my me watching it, yourself and Anna,
Mm,
you guys did a fabulous job.
yeah.
Um, and I could tell by watching it, even though I was not there. Um, I can feel both of your emotions.
Mm,
I could tell they were real emotions.
mm.
Um, so I just want to say congratulations, but also I knew it was tough. I knew it
Yeah,
was tough. I knew it
yeah,
was tough.
yeah.
And by the way, it's getting so many views.
Yeah, that one did really
And
well. Like
did
65
you
million or something.
did you did you think that the character you were playing was going to be so intense?
I just look, that goes back to that first email and kind of a
I
personal.
know. I just had to ask that again. I'm sorry. I'm just curious
No,
because
no, for sure. No, I think the true answer is, you know, when you're hired as an actor, at least the way I look at it, is like now it is my job to bring something to this. They're not hiring me just because
mm-hmm,
I look and I can memorize lines. My job is to bring this to life. And if I really
mm-hmm,
sit here and I think about a guy who was raised in an environment that is completely ran by money, who was forced into a marriage that he didn't want to be in, but he's trying to honor
mm,
the love of his grandfather and what he said, and he doesn't want to do this. But then there's this other part of him where he's trying to hide his love from these other people because there's this other functioning thing in this
mm.
dynasty. You
Okay.
know what I mean? How do you behave? And I
Right.
think you're cold.
You said it right there.
You
Okay.
know, and I think it's not a cold that's super obvious, like I'm being cold and with like because I'm hiding it. It's because you've been doing it for so long, and now you have nothing left, and now you just become cold, and so you
Wow.
don't give anything. And
Wow.
I think that was a very conscious choice in that, and I appreciate the platform that put that out because they allowed me to do that.
And I think, pardon me, in my opinion, it's spreading awareness.
Mm,
Um, that's my opinion.
yeah.
Spreading awareness to everybody in the world. Your storytelling.
Yeah,
And that's what we ourself and yourself and all the actors and actresses, they're spreading awareness to bring awareness to family members, to let
yeah,
them know we are hearing you. This may not be your story 100%, but we may be telling some of it.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
that
I mean, I think about that. There's a part of me that thinks about that, and then there's just a part of me that just I again like I'm a big fan of David Mamet, and if you read a lot
Hmm.
of his stuff, you realize like the job of an actor is
Right. And I
just
just want
if you
to,
look up act in the dictionary, you know what it says? To do.
yes.
And so sometimes I get frustrated with other actors because I'm like, you're thinking, and your job is to act. Don't think about it so much. You're here to perform.
Mm.
So I think about that, and it's like, what is my job? Is to play this character. I don't have to like him. He doesn't have to be great. Sometimes the characters don't even have to be likable. I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but I did watch one episode. It happened to be the episode where King Joffrey, that little kid, gets killed.
Yes, yes.
Spoiler alert, anybody who's listening. Whoops. So, and again, it was like I
I'm
was living
pretty
in New
sure a
York.
lot of people have seen it, so it's okay.
Probably. Sorry. But no, I'm living in New York City. My roommates were really into the show, and I just didn't care because my algorithm, I was just interested in other stuff. And one day it just was starting, and they were all hyped about it. And it was that episode, which I didn't know yet. And I was like, I was just gonna sit down and we'll watch one episode and see what this show is about. It happened to be that episode. And by the end of the episode, I wanted that fucking kid to die so bad. And then when he did, I was like, yes, so happy. Now, did that kid in his real life, you know what I mean? Is he proud of, playing an asshole character? Probably not, but he did his job. And so sometimes I look at it that way, like these characters that I'm
Hmm.
asked to do, it's really becomes the challenge of doing it well, where it's executed to the point where either you are likable because that's the job, or you're not supposed to be.
Hmm. You said it
You know what I
right
mean?
there.
You can't be the man all the time. You
No,
know what
you
I mean?
can't.
And I'm not afraid, and some actors maybe are or just uncomfortable, but I'm not afraid to go there and just like,
Mm.
you know what? I'm gonna do this role, and when it comes out, someone might send me a shitty email
But hey,
saying
you
like,
did the role the way you were supposed to.
yes, absolutely. And
So I
so,
just want to say you did it.
well, thank you. I
No,
appreciate
I'm
that.
serious
And it
because
felt good in the time, and so
I'm going back. Like I said, I saw it. I saw you play with Obsessed with the Bride. I saw you play the Runaway Runaway Billionaire becomes a groom.
yeah,
Every role I saw you play, you were doing it.
yeah,
You were in it. You played your role. I want to get into your Runaway Billionaire becomes my bride.
yeah.
That
Of
to me, when I saw that title, I was kind of laughing because it's like,
course.
okay, what
Some
is
of them
this
are
about?
very silly.
So I started watching it, and I was like, wow, again, here you are in your character, and I could tell you were in the character. Everybody on set, excuse me, were in the character. Um, Before we get into that, I gotta ask, where was Upset with the Silent Bride filmed at?
So we shot everything inside of Los Angeles, well, around Los Angeles. Again, this was with one of the platforms. They're based in China. And so what I've noticed is a lot of them use a lot of the same locations because
Mm-hmm.
they're owned by other Chinese people in various occupations. And so there was a hotel that we used that is like a Sheraton hotel, but it's like very much like catered to Chinese. Like most of the people that stay there are Chinese, the employees. It's just the way it is. It's in like a very heavy Chinese area, Glendale-ish area. I can't remember exactly. And then some of the like the mansions, like again, they're owned by these wealthy Chinese people. So that's kind of how that all played out. That was actually the first one of these that I had ever done. And so I wasn't green as far as like I'm an actor. I understand that, but I guess I was like, okay, so how does this work because of the shooting schedule and the necessities that they have? Because some of them, again, they can be very fun. They're very silly, we're having a good time. Um, but again, I think for me in those moments, it's like, what's my job now? And it's to be present, you know? This is my first time here. I'm not going to come in acting like I know what I'm doing
Right,
exactly,
right.
in this environment. And so I just was like present to just what's going on. Okay, this feels a little more dramatic here. Oh, it looks like we're having some fun here. Well, let's lean into
Hmm.
that. But those things were kind of comedy. Some of them were written away, and they started to shift into more funny. So we leaned into that. So I think that's one of the other things I've noticed about being an actor as a profession is like I know about preparation. This is something that
Hmm.
cannot escape. You have to prepare what is going on. You have to know this scene. You have to know your lines for sure. I mean, you know what's going on, especially because you don't shoot in order. You shoot, we're doing scene 7, then scene 56, then back to scene 23. And
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
are you in these moments? And if you don't know, you're going to get lost, and then nothing's going to feel right. You know
Right.
what I mean? You don't know why you feel the way. So that's super important. But the other side of that is you have to be present. Because a lot of times when you get there, you don't even know the people you're working with. And if you
No.
have the luxury or the budget, maybe you met in a Zoom call or some kind of table read, but a lot of times you don't. So
Right.
you got to feel it out. You got
That's
to understand.
true.
You can't just come in like
100%.
serving 100 miles an hour and realize, well, they can't serve it back to you. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way.
No,
We
100%.
got to play off each other here.
Right,
And
right.
so that's something that I think this specific kind of what they're called vertical dramas, that world is that from what I see, you have to be in that space. And so that project was kind of a result of at least my performance and my contribution to that was, you know, being present,
Amen.
you know, and
Yeah.
uh and that one's so interesting because it was the first one I did, and I still, even this past week, had someone reach out on my social media, just like, you guys got to do another one, or it's still
You
relevant.
do, you do.
So, well, I mean, that's the one thing interesting about this is that they're all called like series,
Yes.
truthfully, what they're
And
called.
you
They're
were
1 minute episodes, there's like 70 episodes.
right.
But then that's it. It's like a movie. It's like, and it's over. There's never like a sequel.
No, but everything, like I said, everything you played, all the roles you played, I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you so
You were
much.
absolutely amazing. Um, Now it's 2025 is not over, of course.
Mm.
So, any upcoming projects that you can talk about a little bit? I understand you may have signed some DNR and all that stuff, but
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
there's anything, any hints that you can talk about that
I can
you
say I did sign an NDA on this project that I begin uh, on the 7th of September.
and when is that coming out?
Well, I mean, that's not up to me. I don't get
Okay,
involved.
we'll wait.
I
We'll
would like
wait.
to think if we're done by the 20th of September, that it should be out end of October. I
All
really don't
right.
sure. Um, but that one is going to be a drama that revolves around streetcar racing.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I'm really looking forward to that. There is a really, really educated team that is going to be on the production side.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we have some really clever ideas as far as creating drama in a lot of action sequences. Um, and so I'm really looking forward to that one.
Wow.
I can say the other great news, and I can fully talk about it, is that this horror film called The Disinvited, and let's refrain. It's not a horror film. It's more of a psychological thriller
Mm-hmm.
with horror elements to it. We shot in 2024. It's called The Disinvited, and it just finally got picked up for distribution and will be in select theaters November 14th.
Amazing.
It's
Congratulations.
mind blowing. I mean, I only say that because, I've done so much stuff that does not see the light of day. You'll go see it maybe at a film festival to 25, 50, 100 people in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. And that's the unfortunate thing about this business is there's so
Congratulations.
much work done that no one sees.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and this is amazing that it will be be able to be seen to anyone.
Wow.
Remember. So very excited. Just found out about that in this past week. So that's that's it's a miracle, honestly.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, so and right now I've really leaned into this as a lifestyle, and so whatever else comes, I just trust that I have arrived in a moment in this chapter of my life where
Mm-hmm.
abundance and I am reverberating this positive energy into the world, and it is coming back to me.
Wow.
So yeah,
Amazing. So
yeah,
proud of you.
that's good. Thank you so much.
Yes. And where can people find you on social media?
Ryan Ray Vincent on Instagram, and that's all I have. I just don't have the interest. I think I'm just like just a little bit too old for the whole TikTok thing. And no
Well, that's
judgment. I
fine.
love it if
Yeah.
you're on TikTok. TikTok all day, love it. But just Instagram for me.
Well, thank you, Ryan, for coming on.
Yeah.
And thank you for following me on Instagram,
Mhm.
and thank you for connecting with me. And I will always love to have you back on with your next
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, for sure. Let me get out there in the world and do some more cool stuff, and then we'll have round two.
Yes, I definitely would love to have you back. Like I said, saw everything. I first saw you real quick by watching Obsessed with the Silent Bride.
Yeah.
And
That one
and
seems to have done the best out of
and
all.
because I watch everything, independent, indie, A-list and
Yeah.
B-list, so on, and I saw you, and somehow I was dig into your character.
Mm,
And I know that's weird to say that, but it's also not because you and Miss Anna and the rest of the crew members and the cast members on that were so fabulous.
mm,
I felt every single words and your actions in that from both of you and the rest of the cast members. I could feel it. And my hairs are standing up right now from me talking about it because I could feel you getting into your character. I could
mm.
feel Anna getting in her character. I can feel everybody else getting in their character on that. And other ones I saw you play, I also felt that. And I was like, wow, wow. And I had to, after watching Obsessed with the Silent Bride, I had to think for a moment. I had to turn off the TV and turn on music to kind of reflect and think and say, wow, 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 wow. Amazing. Amazing. I mean, I couldn't believe it. You guys did a fabulous job. You
Thank
guys
you.
did a fabulous job. That is how glued I was. I watched it 3 times.
Mm,
I'm sitting there in one day because the first time I was kind of like, oh wow, this is so good. But the third time really got me
yeah.
because I really could tell the storyline, what
Mm,
was going on, and everything. And I was like, wow, wow. Because it just it changed me how I view things now.
mm,
And that is what storytelling is.
yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to say
No, I
that. So
agree. I think,
thank
some
you, Ryan.
well, you're welcome, man. I'll say this, I think the camera, and I'm quoting Ben Kingsley, but the camera is your best friend and your worst enemy.
And you could tell the camera was glued into you guys.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, and I knew they were real tears.
Oh, sure.
I knew it. But you're right. I didn't expect the camera to glue in to so many actors, in real life. You see it. You see all the movies out in theaters. You've seen everything, and you see the cameras get glued in. And you're like, wow, they are really on your face. Like they may be
Oh,
far away,
sure.
but they zoom in your face, and you're
That's
like,
what I'm saying. It's like, if you were lying. you'll be exposed. But if you're being honest, you will be rewarded. And I think that is the ultimate task of it,
Mm-hmm.
is just be honest,
Amen.
you know?
Amen.
And if you can do that, then you'll have the impact. And that's all I want, is to have that impact on
Yes, and
people in a
that's what I'm
positive
saying.
way.
The
So,
Runaway with the Billionaire becomes my bride. Like it's obsessed with the silent bride. Your testament said it right there.
yeah,
And
yeah.
every
Well,
other
I
roles
appreciate
that
you
you
watching,
play.
man. That's incredible. I really, yeah, it's so sweet to you to hear that. So
Of
thank you.
course, I pay attention to anything,
Well,
everybody. Because shout out to Miss Ana. Um, she was promoting it, and
yeah.
I watch everything that everybody promotes,
Mm,
and I respect everybody out there, every
mm,
actor and every actress, directors, producers, film crew, stunt crew, everybody. And it's like you said, act is acting, with
mm.
storytelling. So
Yeah.
thank you again, Ryan, for coming
Yeah,
on.
no, thank you so
And
much. I really
we'll
appreciate it.
definitely stay in touch. I would love to have you back.
Yeah, yeah. Again, let me get back out there in the world and get some things under the belt and have more to talk about in the future.
All right, sounds good. We'll talk soon.
All right, my friend. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to join you today.
Yes, you're very welcome, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye, boss.